Sunday afternoon at College Nationals continues as USA Ultimate's 2017 College Championships reach the first men's semifinal. The top seed in the tournament, UMass, taking on the 6th seed Carleton College Cut. The quarterfinals this morning were some great games. Number 1 and number 2 meeting in the round of 8. UMass scored the final 3 points in that game to get past Pitt, and then Carleton knocking off the defending champs, Minnesota, to reach the semifinals here at Nationals. And we welcome you to our booth. Hi, everybody. Evan Leffler with Ian Toner. A year ago at this time, UMass, the number 1 seed at the tournament, lost in the pre-quarters. They were dreaming of the semis. Now they are here, and they still have business to take care of.
The Final Four is not their final destination. Ben Sadok, Tina Booth, Tanner Johnson, they are all eyeing a national championship at this point.
And this Carleton program has so much history. They avenged their loss in North Central Regionals by knocking off Minnesota, the defending national champs. No one's ever that surprised when Carleton makes a run at Nationals.
No matter how their regular season results turn out, you can always count on this Cut team to peak at the right time, to turn in that killer performance at Nationals and reach their potential.
The head coach, Phil Bowen, is assisted by Nick Stewart, the former great deep cutter, and Henry Fisher, they say might be the best deep cutter Carleton has had since Nick Stewart, a really dynamic downfield threat.
He's a product of the North Carolina Ultimate community, part of that Carolina Friends School pipeline that's developed with the Carleton program. A stellar performance in the quarterfinals, getting the best of North Central rival Ben Yacht in their comeback win against Minnesota Grey Duck.
These two teams met once earlier this year. UMass won a Universe Point thriller. Ben Sadok, Will Thornton, Brett Gramman are the captains. Nico Mueller has been a really nice addition to this team. And Sadok, a top 5 Callahan finalist, he is the little engine that could for Zoodisc.
Ben Sadok can put the disc anywhere he wants on the field. If Carleton's going to have success defensively, they're going to need to limit the looks and the release points of Ben Sadok in this game.
Both these teams have great energy, fire, and intensity. It should be one heck of a battle. A berth in tomorrow's title game. On the line, breezy conditions, and the plastic flies through that wind when we return to Franklin, Ohio. The USA Ultimate College Championships are brought to you in part by Discraft Ultrastar. Find the official disc of USA Ultimate at more than 1,900 U.S. retail locations. And by 5 Ultimate, apparel made specifically for Ultimate players by Ultimate players. Visit 5ultimate.com for everything from jerseys and shorts to custom team uniforms. Carleton's offense taking the field first. Fisher, Lanier, Birdsong. Tina Booth, the UMass coach, said she's known Birdsong since she was in 9th grade. Eckert, Rittmeyer, Olsen, and Natan Lee Engel, a reset handler for 8th-year coach Phil Bowen. UMass will have a bunch of players going both ways, particularly Sadok. Tanner Johnson, a national champ in the mixed division in club last year with Slow White. And Nico Mueller, a name you may not be familiar with. He's a member of Team Germany. He was recruited to play for Boston Ironside. He's working on his master's. They got him into UMass, and he's eligible, and he has been an unbelievable addition. As Tina Booth said, I've had a lot of good things happen to me in Ultimate, but the Ultimate gods really smiled upon me, sending me that German.
She's built many pipelines over the years, and the least she can do is get a nice prospect coming to her team late in the year.
Well, the Final Four in the men's division is underway, and one of these semifinalists will win another national title. UMass, Carleton, UNC Wilmington, and UNC have all won national titles. Carleton has won a pair in 09 and 11. UMass, Wilmington, and UNC Darkside have each won once. Sadok looking long to Johnson. A connection UMass fans are very familiar with.
If UMass is going to be successful, that's going to be the first of many this afternoon. Those two love to play catch on the Zoodisc offensive unit. We see Sadok sizing up his options, and then a nice break mark throw. No chance for the defender there.
Beating Eric Taylor deep.
I understand they're trying to go, looked like they were trying to put a straight up mark on Sadok, but that does expose some break side throws that downfield defenders then have no shot at defending.
Johnson, tall and lanky. Sadok is one of the smaller guys on the field, and yet he has tremendous flexibility in his pivot to get throws off around big marks.
It's amazing that his release points are something that you think larger marks would be able to challenge. But as you pointed out, he's able to get the disc off in really challenging situations.
Mueller on the pull. Carleton's O-line out there for the first time. Alex Olson, marked by Thornton. Carleton lost a pool play game against North Carolina. Came from behind to beat Colorado in what was virtually a must-win game in the final round of pool play. Collision downfield, they quickly restart. And then Carleton going through the pre-quarters, win over Michigan, and then beat Minnesota. And smooth offense for Carleton. Henry Fisher with another score.
Henry Fisher is one of those release valves, playmakers, however you want to describe him. He's going to be involved in the deep game and relieving pressure on the offense. You saw him come up with the great catch earlier in the possession and then sneaking free on the break side there for Carleton's first hold of the game.
You don't usually see the Durham to Chapel Hill connection in life. Those two towns are rivals, of course, but Fisher from Durham, Lanier from Chapel Hill, they of course played together as young Ultimate players and matriculating to the tiny liberal arts school in Northfield, Minnesota that has built an Ultimate empire over the past couple of decades.
Not many friends on Tobacco Road, but Lanier and Yannick and Fisher, part of the crew that's building this new pipeline within the Carolina community, that Carolina Friends School feeding the Carleton Ultimate program.
Well, Ian, it's also certainly worth mentioning several Massachusetts natives on this Carleton roster. Luke Webb and Jared Cannell, both from Amherst. Liam Holloway-Bidwell from Northampton. And Tim Schock, the talented sophomore, went to high school with Tanner Johnson in Lexington, Mass. Sadok. How about that scuba? It was too tall. Intended for Solomon McMahon.
And that's going to be a viable option when Sadok has the wind at his back. I wouldn't be surprised to see him pull off a 50 or 60-yard scuba at one point in this game with the strength of the wind behind him.
Sadok was turnover free in the quarterfinals, but he gives it away there. Rising for the D, it was Pat Barron riding the back of Schock. No call, UMass disc. And a deep shot on the reset. Johnson, long, got it, just shy of the goal line. Johnson, lefties at home. Solomon McMahon with the score.
You know, we saw the same thing with Jacqueline Verjou in the last game, catching a number of goals, catching a number of discs within 3 yards of the goal line, but not quite notching the goal independently, as we see Johnson survive the contact and continue into the end zone. Would love to see a stat on how many discs he's caught within 2 yards of the goal line this weekend.
And another nice throw from Sadok, who obviously has so much trust in his receivers, and he puts it on a platter for him.
And no hesitation there after the early turnover earlier in the point. Like you said, a lot of trust in his receiver being able to make the play.
Sadok from Needham, Mass. Listed at 5'5". He's a senior. Got great experience at Club Nationals last year as the second team from Boston Dig upset the perennial Nationals competitor from Toronto in regionals and almost knocked off Seattle Sockeye in the pre-quarters in a dramatic game there. Of course, Tanner Johnson had a successful Nationals as well in the mixed division. Jake Rittmeyer for Carleton, senior from Seattle, resets to Olson. Another Seattle product. Lanier. Mueller on the mark. Carleton, a team, and you expect to play with some pretty good offensive discipline, right?
Absolutely. They're not going to take any ill-advised shots. They're going to work within their system. A lot of great space at the front of the stack, opening up these front of the stack resets and break throws just like that one to the end zone.
It's Rittmeyer from Lee Engel. 2-all. Three of the first 4 points have been turnover free.
You know, it's so challenging to be a defender in these front of the stack red zone situations. You have so many different areas that the thrower and the cutter can attack proactively on their own, that you have to trust your mark in your defensive system, but there are also times when you have to kind of adjust on the fly and take chances that you wouldn't normally take.
Carleton set to pull. D-line back out there. They got a very short-lived chance. Pat Barron is on the field for UMass. He's been on the field every point so far, going both ways at the outset as the pull sails out of bounds. Sadok to Johnson.
A very Boston look there. Vertical stack with no dump whatsoever.
Russell Wallach, along with Tina Booth, coaching this team. Wallach, a lot of experience with Boston Ironside. This is Barron, who's been busy. Sadok threatens the deep shot. Mueller flicks it home. Eddie Scott, the freshman from Wynwood, PA, with the score. I beg your pardon. That was Barron.
Some really aggressive movement from the Massachusetts throwers, unfazed by contact on the mark, being able to step through and get that disc over to the break side and keep those breaks cascading so that they had a nice, easy shot into the end zone.
And I'll tell you, Ian, at the World Ultimate Guts Championships in London last year, Mueller was an anchor for Team Germany.
It's almost unfair that he's getting to get some time with Zoodisc here. Reminds us of Brandon Whedon getting some time with Oklahoma State in his late 20s, correct?
Well, Stefan Reckett, one of the leaders of Ultimate in Germany, who has developed a great friendship with Josh McCarthy, the longtime coach of Boston Ironside, they have created a little bit of a pipeline. And Mueller's not the first German native to come play for Boston, and to get him to continue his engineering studies in Amherst, Massachusetts with some eligibility. This is his only year. at the college championships. But you know, he arrived right before Easterns, the Wednesday before Easterns, and they just threw him into the fire. And I think everyone on UMass was thrilled with how well he fit in. Only 2 turnovers in the game through the first 5 points. They both came on the same point. No breaks yet. And there's another Carleton hold. Bidding in the end zone, Dylan Lanier.
A nice reset there from Lee Engel to Olsen. And it looked as though Olsen may have taken an extra step or two after catching that to put himself in the perfect position, but not a huge advantage to be gained here. And this one right on that outside shoulder coming back into Lanier. Great extension on that grab.
Alex Olsen, the Carleton assist leader at Nationals. His 15th of the tournament. Three all first half. We should mention really great field surface here at Bishop Fenwick High School, home of the semis and nationals in 2017. Natural grass, thick, plush. Field looked and felt good.
Yeah, some of the other fields in the other complex were experiencing a little difficulty because of the amount of rain that the area had received recently, getting torn up just a little bit, but these ones appear to be in great shape. Plenty of cushion and support for the players.
Is getting called back. Mitch Dengler, the lead observer, with Greg Connolly.
First stroke, this gentleman, that's way back.
Brad Tinney and Dan Lorla, the other observers.
No surprise to see.
Everybody good? All right, hold your spot.
No surprise to see Sadok and Yannick having a conversation there. Two of the fiery and
they're chatty.
Yeah, they're chatty players indeed.
Confident in their point of view.
Your movement. Hey, you got one down the line, Eric.
Seems like Sadok's first look is always long. That's just the way he thinks. A little bit like the way Pat Earls played for Pittsburgh the past couple of years. Another lefty.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's even a lefty that used to wear number 3 as well.
Earls was rooting against Sadok from the sidelines. Pittsburgh had an 11-10 lead, but UMass got a break at 12-11, and then another break to close it out in a dramatic 1 versus 2 quarter. Sadok keeps it alive. And a pick downfield halts play. Everything you got to maintain possession. And a little sneaking throw that was not ruled in.
Not in.
Okay.
Saul Yannick of Carleton was claiming it was in.
Okay, that's fine. It was hard. It was a.
I know, and that one called him out.
Okay, that's
Both
fine.
feet down at the same time.
I blacked out, Tanner. I blacked out. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Not in yet, says Mitch Dengler.
High backhand.
Johnson floats it high and to the ground.
He thought Sadok was going to be able to get to that space behind the mark, but perhaps the wind making that carry a bit further than Johnson wanted. Carleton with a chance to break.
Deep shot. Tracked down by White. White had 4 goals and 3 assists in the quarterfinal comeback against Minnesota.
And there was one stretch in the pre-quarterfinals as White catches this goal. The pre-quarterfinals against Michigan, there was a 4-point stretch where he had 2 goals, 2 assists, and 2 blocks. Talk about an impact player.
Well, the Huck fired up there by Eric Taylor, Columbus, Ohio native. And White patiently assessing. You know, if Yannick really felt it was in, I was wondering if he would just throw the disc to the ground and give it back. But
for some reason, I'm not sure that Saul Yannick would be the one to do that.
no, not saying he should have done that either.
Great patience there and great spacing by the Carleton receivers who followed the play. It can be really tempting and perhaps even natural to kind of crowd the thrower who has the disc just outside the goal line and try and get that reset or score that goal really quickly. But in those situations, it's more important than ever to create space, set up the new stack, and have discipline in your offense to open up the space for the look that you want to the end zone.
This Carleton program, a school that has won 3 national titles. They won back in 01 in addition to 09 and 11. This is their 16th trip to the semis since 1990. And despite the full play loss to North Carolina Darkside, Cut has battled its way and certainly earned a spot. We asked assistant coach Nick Stewart what was the key to the comeback against Minnesota, and he said simply, it was energy. I mean, we got the first break, and that was the change. That disc long tipped in the air. On the second effort, it's Brett Graham.
Brett Graham might be the shortest guy on the field, but his persistence and ability to stick with the play preserves possession.
Jake Radak may have pushed off to get so wide open against Chris Padilla.
When Yannick taps this back in, the disc will come back in on 6.
Okay, we'll come in on 5.
Or
We're on 5, gentlemen, when you're ready.
And there's a lot of traffic
Let's go.
in the end zone here, and not a lot of time with which to work. McMahon gets it off, or did he? Yannick claims a stall, and it was, in fact, a stall.
Hold up. Check, gentlemen.
Pray for a check.
And after a stall, the disc has to be checked in on the ground. Defenses like to call that a coverage sack, where the thrower has no one to throw the disc to. And the clock expires before they can get the disc out of their hand.
White, his deep shot deflected.
Eric, you might still throw it.
Sadok on the restart.
Middle, Eric.
Radak swings it to Barron.
Push him out, Saul.
McMahon,
Middle, Saul, up.
Rahman,
Sure.
with a defender on his back launching. Johnson, no. Good matchup between the two 15s. Taylor listed at just 5'11", hanging tough with a 6'4" Johnson.
Great work by Taylor, getting close enough that he forced Tanner Johnson to probably go up a second earlier than he wanted.
Another turnover from the Carleton D-line on the first throw.
Get her off the sideline.
Big arms, man.
And we had only seen 3 turnovers in the first 7 points. And now 3 turnovers on this 8th point. Making 4 turnovers on the point, but it ends in a UMass hold to Sadok.
just a nice trust throw to space.
They've developed that trust in a relatively short amount of time.
And it's interesting because this throw may not be quite as easy to execute if UMass is going the opposite direction and going downwind. Because Mueller is throwing upwind, he can put the right amount of touch and IO on it that it sits on the wind for a second rather than just dropping and carrying into the ground right away.
UMass at Nationals for the 4th consecutive year. It had been 26 years that UMass had not made Nationals. Program founded in '84, won a national title back in '86. And a few years ago, when Tina Booth tried to retire from her job coaching high school ultimate in Amherst, about 45 minutes after the news broke that she retired, she got a call from the UMass captains. Will you coach us? You don't have to come to any tournaments unless we make nationals, she said, or they said to her. And she said yes, and she has been re-energized. She said yesterday she's having more fun coaching this team than she's ever had before.
And she's had a lot of success at that Amherst program in years past.
There's Tina. She wanted to give a shout out to her 92-year-old mother, Tiu, who's watching today in Newport, Rhode Island. 4-all first half. Carleton is up a break. Zone look from UMass. The hammer tries to break it, hangs in the air. There was contact. Barron and Rittmeyer. Let's take a look. Foul was upheld, looked like a foul.
A lot of guts on that throw. An upwind hammer with that kind of trajectory, not easy to execute.
Carleton takes a timeout with a disc about 15 yards from the end zone. It was truly an exhilarating morning here in Southern Ohio, with the number 1 and number 2 seeds going head-to-head, Massachusetts and Pittsburgh. Carleton was down 8-5 at the half, came back against Minnesota, and that comeback was nothing compared to what North Carolina did. Dark Side was down 5-0 and 9-3 before closing the game on a 12-5 run. And UNC Wilmington, arguably the most surprising team in the quarterfinals, is the team that most easily took care of business.
Yeah, North Carolina and Wisconsin, an epic matchup. Wisconsin received the disc on double game point, had 2 opportunities to punch it in. Great pressure by that dark side defense. Nathan Kwan getting the block on double game point, and we're excited to see another All-Carolina semifinal tonight at 8.
Once again, UNC and UNC Wilmington meeting in the semifinals at Nationals. Those longtime rivals met in 2014 in the semis. UNC victorious. Big game for UNC Wilmington's J.D. Hastings, who's a graduate student in Wilmington after playing 4 years in Chapel Hill previously. UMass staying zone near the goal line.
And normally you'd see some teams transition out of this a little earlier, and there's Lanier wide open at the front cone. A different look here from Massachusetts, and as a coach or defensive coordinator, you've got to throw different looks at offenses and see how they respond. And changing up those defensive looks, no matter how effective they may or may not be, can take offenses slightly out of rhythm.
Certainly that's the goal.
But the Carleton offense was not fazed by that possession.
Dylan Lanier, just a freshman. Tom Lee Engel with his second assist. Now you look at both these rosters, and there are some talented seniors on both squads, but there are a lot of young players on these two teams too.
They're going to be bringing a lot of firepower back for seasons to come. Tanner Johnson on UMass, Henry Fisher and Dylan Lanier on Carleton, just to name a few.
Pretty good pull. Looked like Mueller stayed away from it enough that it'll come into the front of the end zone. Of course, if he had tipped it on its way out, UMass would have to play it from the back line. So it'll be Sadok, marked by Schock. Grauman. Johnson. Sneaks that throw through. Radak, just a freshman. That disc floating. It found Barron. It was intended for Grauman. UMass trailing by a break, trying to hold and even this thing up at 5. And that will work. Sadok, so sneaky quick.
Yeah, the Massachusetts throwers making light work of the Carleton marks there.
Nice touch from McMahon on the assist.
Not sure if Elliot Mawby was changing the force or going flat for a second there, but that kind of lunge over opened up that backhand to space for Sadok running into the end zone. And as a coach, again, it's hard to know exactly what the mark was, but as a coach, you hate to see a defender lunging on the mark. You'd rather see them move with fast feet, lots of close touches to the ground, shuffling their feet to reposition.
Solomon McMahon has been involved. This UMass team has had some close calls. Remember, their first game of the tournament against Washington, the Sun Dodgers took half, and then UMass rallied back and winning. Overall, an impressive performance from UW throughout the weekend. Massachusetts, though, remains unbeaten.
Yeah, their first
March the 12th.
Their first lead in that game did not come until 13-12.
Right. UMass has not lost until March 12th against Minnesota. That was at Centex. This UMass team, while in the past they have tried to specialize certain roles, this year they tried to increase everyone's versatility. In fact, as the layout D comes underneath, that's Chris Bartoli. UMass trying to get this back on serve. Johnson playing on the D line, hits Gabriel Schmidt. And going tumbling, Alex Olson.
And you hear some snickers from the
You can't shove
crowd.
him off. Even if he's close, you can't shove him.
And a snicker
It doesn't matter, you can't shove a player off.
even from Gabriel Schmidt.
That was a shove.
I thought too, man. It's the same thing.
So they issue the blue card, the TMF, team
4.
misconduct foul, for the unsportsmanlike conduct on the shove off, even though Olson was close and may have exaggerated the tumble.
Yeah, I'd say there was a little bit of embellishment there.
Forcing it up the line and out. Thornton ruled out of bounds. Golden opportunity. And UMass could not capitalize there.
Nice throw from Saul Yannick, getting his team off the front cone. Not an easy position for any handler to be in.
You know, back at that Centex tournament, Ian, UMass wasn't even really calling lines. It was basically free substitutions. was told they didn't call lines at Queen City and early on at Centex. It wasn't until the semis at Centex that they finally kind of took charge. They were Centex champs, beating UNC 15-14. Another D on the wing for Chris Bartoli. In a game when turnovers are relatively at a premium, Bartoli getting 2 Ds in this point.
He's got a nose for the disc, that's for sure, and we've got a foul call. A lot of contact at the front of the stack with defenders trying to protect their space. Another look here at Bartoli's layout block as he rushes over to prevent that disc from moving up the sideline, and a shot to the end zone.
Ambitious and defended. What a high-flying play by Natan Liengel.
Not someone you associate with high-flying downfield defense, but making the most of his extension, able to get just a touch on the disc to redirect it before it goes into the receiver's hands. Great defensive effort.
The longest point of the game continues and ends. Barron brings us back on serve. UMass leading 6-5 in the first half.
Evan, we pointed this out earlier. Barron has quietly been one of the most useful and most utilized players on the UMass roster so far this game. We've completed 11 points, and he's been on the field for 10 of them.
Here's Thornton. Getting the D in the cup that time. And Barron taps it off.
2 blocks and 2 goals so far today for Pat Barron. He's going to take a well-deserved break on the sideline here for this point. Getting this game back on serve, UMass is going to be pulling upwind with a 6-5 advantage.
Mueller getting ready to pull. Thornton, who just got the D, stays out there again. Bartoli was busy that point too.
Hey, Connor! Connor, eyes for the roller!
Lanier, White, Liengel with Olsen, Fisher, Rittmeyer, and Eckert.
Yeah, Will! For free, Dylan! Yes, TJ! TJ, you're with him still! You're with him now! You're with him now!
Beg your pardon, Birdsong rather than Eckert out there for Carleton. Liengel launches. Beautiful shot. Easy catch for Fisher. Second goal for the big fella.
Really impressed by these throwers' ability to calibrate their deep shots in the wind. And that's just a dream situation there for an experienced thrower. You'd have your #1 deep target streaking with a little bit of separation down the break side. Nothing but space to unleash a nice downwind backhand. Well executed there by Liengel and Fisher.
We've played 12 points now. 8 of those 12 have been turnover free, including that last hold from Cut. Third assist for Natan Liengel. Liengel from Seattle. This Carleton team has 6 players from Seattle, 6 from North Carolina, and 6 from Massachusetts. And everyone from Seattle and Massachusetts underclassmen.
The future is bright And those pipelines are strong. I'm sure many other programs around the country would love to be able to recruit in the way that Carleton does.
It is a unique program in men's college ultimate with the Division I success it has had. Now, last year we saw the Whitman women make it all the way to the finals, and a school similarly like Carleton, small, liberal arts, not known for its state level athletics, like a typical state school. And Grauman could not handle the quick zipping flick from Zoodisc. Yannick has been the field general for the Carleton D-line. Yannick and Fisher both played club with top club team in Raleigh, Ring of Fire. Coached by Mike Denardis, teammates with Jonathan Nethercutt. It's very possible they could be going against North Carolina or North Carolina Wilmington, whoever survives the Battle of the Tar Heel State later tonight. If Carleton can survive this one, we're the Bay Staters. And Yannick takes a timeout in the red zone in a 6-all game. Carleton looking to break. Let's take a step back for a moment, Ian. This 2017 Nationals began obviously on Friday morning, and not to say that the competition was underwhelming on Friday, but there weren't that many upsets. The crowds on the sidelines weren't as large because it was a Friday. On Saturday, first day of the holiday weekend, and the upsets began to brew, and the intensity, the emotions really ratcheted up fast. Yesterday was an exhilarating day.
No, the change in atmosphere and attitude was palpable throughout the sidelines, and that continued over into this morning where we were down to the final 8 in both divisions, and multiple games coming down to the final 2 or 3 points. You know, we're not seeing the pre-quarter shocks that we saw from last year's college championships, but we're still seeing some tremendous finishes.
Carleton just 1 of 4 on break chances so far, but every time they've got it to the end zone so far.
Smart move by Yannick to call the timeout there.
They are 4 for 4 in the red zone. You like Tanner Johnson going on the mark here?
It's a big mark. It's a lanky mark that's going to limit Yannick's release points unless he gets that off. I'll just go ahead and eat my words right away.
White had a foot on the line. Blades it over the top. Tough catch. Carleton breaks. Eric Taylor makes it 7-6. Cut in front.
Great vision by Yannick to see the receiver, White, all the way on the other side of the field. And you saw Johnson kind of move a little bit to take away the around look, and as he did that, he opened up that inside lane, and Yannick, an aggressive, accomplished thrower, is going to exploit that every day.
Joe White, a freshman, grew up right here in Cincinnati.
Lots of confidence and composure. A freshman throwing a cross-field goal line hammer into the wind in the national semifinal.
I think you speak generally about college ultimate in general. There are a lot of freshmen who wouldn't have the courage to make that throw. There are a lot of freshmen who might have the courage to make that throw and then would get eviscerated verbally by their captains for daring to make that toss. So Carleton could break and take it a half, otherwise UMass could hold and even things up. Mueller to both knees to secure the pull to Zoodisc. I first saw Ben Zoodisc play at the Queen City Tune-Up, I think in 2014. down in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I asked Tina Booth that day, how do you pronounce this kid's name? Because you could just tell he was on his way to big things. As a young player, he had the same type of confidence and swagger as he does now. I mean, he's a little more polished as a player, polished as a leader, but he has always been a firecracker on the field. Johnson into the end zone for Zoodisc. Surprisingly, Ben Zoodisc, who's leading the tournament in assists, has no assists and 3 goals in this first half.
He's dangerous in those red zone situations, and when he's got partners like Tanner Johnson who can put the disc to space capably, it's no wonder that he's going to find himself reeling in a few in this first half. And you saw him before that throw even went up, he kind of took a step back and did a subtle point to that back corner of the end zone, showing Tanner Johnson to just release it to space before the defender could even see the disc go up.
I asked Tanner yesterday if he had plans for the club season. He shook his head, smiled, and said, I'm still thinking about it. I'll make the decision after Nationals. He said he has 3 good options. He could try to go back-to-back with Slow White. He could try to help Ironside go back-to-back, or he could try to help Boston Dig get back to Nationals, or he could take some time off. I guess that's the 4th chance, 4th option as well. He's quite the get. He even said, he's like, I'm the guy that annoys all the captains and leaders, making them trying to get their rosters settled. This point will take it to half. Carleton's O-line has been broken once, UMass's twice. Back in the zone. You like this decision with Carleton going upwind?
I do. I think it limits their flow. They like being able to work from a rhythm, from motion. You've really got to, they've got to think quite a bit and complete more throws upwind. You know, generally speaking, the greater the volume increases, the greater the likelihood for a turnover to occur.
All right. Hey, guys. Hey, guys, we got a foul, no contest. Play going here. All right, and on 1.
Yannick, who typically leads the D-line out there on this first half universe point on O.
But with these blustery conditions, you want an experienced thrower out there.
Padilla tried to force that in. UMass gets the D. Zoodisc too far in front of Grauman.
Oh, and as we saw Fisher go to the ground, it looks like Grauman's cleat might have caught his neck or shoulder area. We hope it's nothing too serious. Fisher's one of those bodies that you want out there to come down with any swilly throws and be there to make defensive plays if needed. Soljanik is going to be trapped here, and nice easy swing to the middle to get things started.
Go, go, Gil, go!
UMass stays in the zone. In the background, just to the left of the USA Ultimate banner, which just left our screen, you can see a USA Ultimate staffer holding a Callahan trophy, which will be presented to the women's Callahan winner at halftime. White thought about it. Crowd wanted it. He holstered it.
Bartoli was close to his third block of the half, but just didn't pull the trigger on the wing there.
Over the top, Yannick ambitious, able to connect. That disc floating, but White has it. Lanier to White, and Carleton, after a couple turnovers on the point, holds to take half, 8-7. Cut will receive to start the second half.
A few close calls there for the Cut offense. Surprised Bartoli wasn't able to launch himself and at least give himself a chance at that one, but
here's your difference in the half, Ian. Red zone efficiency. Carleton 6 for 6, UMass 4 for 7.
national semifinal game, the margins are that thin.
Carleton led by Phil Bowen and Nick Stewart, and Nick kind enough to join us. Pretty good game, 8-7. Your thoughts on that first half?
Man, it's a dogfight out there. They're playing great defense, great offense. We need to be a little tighter, I think, especially on the upwind. They're upwind 0 points. We're letting them get a little too easy upfield throws.
Nick, any word on Henry? We saw him take an injury there on that last point.
Yeah, I think he got a little whiplash from the layout, but he'll be back.
This morning, you guys had a memorable game against a team you know well. What stood out most to you about the way you guys fought and battled back against Minnesota?
They're a great team, and they had a great season. We just came in at halftime knowing that we needed to pick the energy up and that the energy was what was going to take us to the end, and we did that.
And lastly, what will the message be here at halftime with your guys?
Keep rising, keep the energy. We've had energy since our Colorado game that we were lacking in our UNC game. And since the Colorado game, we have been rolling and really showing what we can do. I know this is the Carleton team that we should be playing as.
Thanks for joining us, Nick. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Evan.
8-7, Carleton up a break at the half. UMass, the #1 seed, got past Pittsburgh earlier, but Carleton came for the champs. Now they're coming for #1. A breezy afternoon here in Southern Ohio, and Carleton College leading the #1 seed, University of Massachusetts, by a break at half. Carleton will receive to start the second. And in the first half, it was just an impressive back-and-forth game, both teams making plays.
Yeah, Massachusetts got out to a hot start with its favorite connection, Ben Sadok and Tanner Johnson. But the Carleton offense wasn't fazed by any of the looks that Massachusetts threw. Henry Fisher making his mark quite early in the game and often. So we see another deep shot here. This was Sadok to Johnson once again.
An example of patience for UMass in the red zone, but they did have 3 turnovers near the goal line.
And that was the difference in this half, as you mentioned just before we went to break, and we get another look at the
They ruled that no goal on the line. Saul Yannick tried to say he thought it was in and give UMass the score. It ended up being a turnover, and eventually the first Carleton break to make it 4-3.
And here's another impact player who's been all over the field for Carleton, James White. Just a freshman, Joe White, excuse me, from the Cincinnati area. Great composure, catching a few goals, throwing a cross-field hammer for a break. And Ben Sadok, so slippery and evasive in those red zone spaces. Saw him reel in another one of his goals there, and Henry Fisher getting open deep as Sadok will just point to the corner and run.
It was just an awesome first half. And anything you're thinking about as something that could change the back-and-forth nature of this game?
I think Ben Sadok is going to have to play a turnover-free second half.
8-7 is the score at the half. Carleton by 1. When we return, we will reveal the 2017 Women's Callahan Award winner. Carleton leads at the half. Ben Sadok, who's the leading assist maker in the tournament, had 3 goals in the first half. Fisher, White, and Lanier, 2 goals apiece for Carleton. Tina Booth, the veteran coach of UMass, joins us down on the field. And Tina, obviously a very competitive first half of Ultimate. What was your primary message to the team at halftime?
We need to stop shooting ourselves in the foot. You know, we've had the opportunity to score. We're staying on the downwind side. We need to work it up to this side of the field and just run our offense. How do you think Tanner and Ben are playing so far in this first half? They're forces. They're good. They're good.
Tina, in a nutshell, tell us the story of how you found out Nico Mueller was going to be on your team this year.
They worked on it for months, and I just didn't even pay any attention. And then he showed up the Wednesday before Easterns, and his first practice with us was at that tournament. So we're very lucky to have him come in from Germany.
Last thing, Coach, you talked to me yesterday about how the culture and energy of this year's team is different from last year. How has that culture been built over the course of the season?
I can't, you know, we've just really emphasized not being anything but being loving and supportive to each other. And it works most of the time, and when it doesn't work, we accept it and move on. We appreciate your time, Coach. Best of luck in the second half. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
That's Tina Booth with the University of Massachusetts Zoodisc. They were national champs back in the 80s, trying to return to the winner's circle at nationals. Second half set to begin with UMass pulling to Carleton. Cut had 2 breaks in the first half to UMass's 1. So Mueller ready to launch. Game to 15, the soft cap 28 minutes away. And Carleton will begin from the brick.
The distance on that pull by Mueller, but unable to keep it in bounds. Olsen's going to be starting with a downwind look here.
Looking to throw deep and score in 1 toss, and they do. Henry Fisher looks like he's okay.
Good to see him back out on the field after taking an injury on an earlier defensive bid in the first half. And if you're Massachusetts, you do not like that efficient 1-throw hold. You want to be forcing the Carleton offense to work a little harder. And an absolutely perfect shot from Olsen to Fisher, using the wind at his back well.
That looked like a drill, a pregame drill or a practice drill. But it's the semis of nationals, the 3rd goal for Fisher, and Carleton gives Cut a multi-goal lead for the first time in this semifinal. Alex Olsen has been very steady, leading the Carleton O-line.
Yeah, calming force for that offense, and a tricky thing to do in a game with such blustery conditions.
Fisher made his fair share of plays for Raleigh Ring of Fire last year as they went all the way to the semis at Club Nationals in Rockford. Mueller gets it to Sadok. You said at halftime, Ian, for UMass to win, he's going to have to play turnover free.
A junky look here from the Carleton defense. Some poaches in the lane. Definitely not man-to-man matchups. A near miss on that bid attempt by Yannick. sent Zoodisc off to the races, and a cross-field shot from Mueller.
Bodies collide in the end zone, and the disc falls incomplete. Barron went up and may have impacted McMahon's ability to make the catch. Quick deep shot on the restart, and it was dropped by Joe White downfield.
Definitely.
He had two hands on the sliding catch, tried, he missed it.
Yeah, and a misfire from Yannick there. He was definitely hoping to release that a bit higher, but challenging to get that at the right trajectory in this wind. And Sadok's off to the races again.
This is Gromit. And a pick downfield will stop play.
Gromit, an Austin, Texas native. He's played club with Austin Double Wide and in the American Ultimate Disc League with the Austin Soul.
Chatted with one of his Austin teammates, Mike Mathis. Very excited for the college season to end to get Gromit back in an Austin jersey. Radak to Sadok.
And you see Yannick walking back just a bit dejected, but there's not much he can do there. As we take a look, that was the upwind huck that almost took out the observer, Mitch Dangler. White got his hand on it, but wasn't able to come up with the catch. And you see there's a flick force here, and White just kind of gets broken with an easy around backhand. And you see Yannick smiling. There's really no chance when the receiver goes up the break side in the way that Sadok did.
Not the most graceful we've ever seen Mitch on the sidelines, but he did get out of the way. Sadok has been the rock for UMass.
If I know the ultimate Twitterverse as well as I do, I'm sure there will be a gif of diving Mitch Dangler before this game is over.
Sadok on the sidelines. Now, in the first half, Ian, the UMass Stars played more points than the Carleton Stars. Barron played 13 of the 15. Johnson played 11. Sadok and Gromit each played 10. For Carleton, Joe White played 9. Fisher and Yannick, they each only played 7.
Speaking to the depth of the Carleton lineup, you know, able to preserve their lines and let each offensive and defensive unit handle things independently. Great elevating grab there by Dylan Lanier.
Well, you also have to factor in Carleton's played one additional game than UMass.
After dropping that pool play game to North Carolina, having to play in the pre-quarter round against Michigan.
And UMass, sorry to interrupt, actually had clinched its pool through 3 games, so they got to have a little bit different mindset in their final pool play game as well. What will happen here? Intended for Birdsong.
Looking at that replay, I'm not sure if Birdsong...
Yeah, fine. My call. It's not a foul. You hit the disc first. Hey, with a check. With it. You're ready.
And I think Greg Connolly got that call exactly right.
Looking long. Raskin shooting it for Barron. Barron called a foul. Barron versus Birdsong at the other end.
And the crowd's letting him hear it on that one.
Yeah.
All right, guys, you can send it back. Would you like a ruling? All right. So if a ruling, there's no foul. Not even pass. All right.
Great work by the observers so far today Two efficient, correct calls there on back-to-back hucks.
Lee Engel keeps it alive. Back to Olsen. Lee Engel.
Keep working,
Lanier. Carleton gradually gaining yards against the UMass zone defense. That just maybe deflected by Eddie Scott. And that's a good look. Rittmeyer downfield. The cup moves along with the D. Barely escaped Jared Medor's reach. Carleton trying to stay perfect in the red zone. To space for Olsen. Incredible patience from Carleton.
You know, it can be easy to get trigger happy after you've seen a couple of turnovers in 1 point, and a great save there by Olsen in the red zone, and great cross-field vision. Olsen with no mark has all the time in the world, just has to throw some fakes to communicate with his receivers, and a little tougher than they wanted, but that's another hold for Carleton, and like you said, Evan, they stay perfect in the red zone.
Nice catch by Natan Lee Engel. Economics major from Seattle, chatting with Phil Bowen. Bowen began coaching this Carleton team when Nick Stewart was a freshman. He's now in his 8th season. So 10-8, about 18 minutes away from the soft cap. Plenty of time for lots to happen. Carleton's in control. The cut O-line has only been broken 1 time. This is Mueller. McMahon. He wanted the deep shot, but it wasn't there, and he wisely took the reset. Johnson squeezes it through to Sadok, who fires. Grauman versus Yannick. UMass back within 1.
Another textbook downwind deep shot here from Ben Sadok. Grauman, one of the smaller players on the field, but he's got enough separation that Yannick didn't even have a chance at making a bid on this huck. And you saw Sadok kind of grabbing his head after he released it. Maybe didn't come off quite the way he wanted it to, but end result worked out perfectly.
First assist of the game for Sadok, his Nationals leading 27th of the tournament. Beg your pardon, his second assist of the game. He had the first one way back when. So now he's got 28 assists at the tournament. Most in the field. In a booth. Calm, cool, and collected.
It was interesting to hear her thoughts at halftime. Evan, you were asking her about the difference between last year's iteration of Zoodisc and this. And, you know, last year's team had all the expectations and talent in the world and came up short. And Tina was telling us that there was a renewed focus on positivity and support on this year's team. And, you know, thinking back to what we saw from Zoodisc at 2016 Nationals, you know, there were players that were yelling at each other on the field before and after points, and we haven't seen any of that so far this year, and that kind of cohesive support and attitude is certainly making a difference this year.
Now, there's always pressure on the #1 seed at Nationals. You know, entering this year, Ian, 3 times in the last 6 years, the overall men's #1 seed did not win their pool. So you think about that. Now it's 4 of the last 7 because UMass did win their pool this year. Into the end zone. Carleton makes quick work of that 0-point Lanier.
Lanier looks, you know, I hate to throw a cliche out there. He just looks like he's having fun out there. It's easy to see some younger kids out there maybe showing some nerves, unable to crack a smile, or even going too far off the deep end and getting way too excited after one play. But he just looks like he's living in the moment and thriving.
There have been 20 points so far in the semifinal. That was the 12th one that was played without a turnover. Carleton's turned it over 9 times. UMass has turned it over 10 times. The margin very thin. The stakes very high. UMass had an emotional roller coaster against Pittsburgh this morning. They got off to a great start. Pittsburgh kind of seized momentum. I think Pitt ended up taking half 8-7 after UMass led most of the first half. Pitt was up 11-10. UMass tied it and broke twice to knock out a great program led by Nick Kazmarek and David Hogan. Zoodisc launching. Johnson. No.
I wonder if Johnson could have taken one more step before he lunged and reached or even dove. Again, hindsight 2020 here. That disc is coming in fast. But I think Johnson wants that one back, and he'd be the first to tell you that he might accept responsibility for that turnover.
That's Zoodisc's first throwaway of the second half. And Carleton gives it back. Miscommunication downfield. Ethan Bloodworth came in. They thought he was going long.
Nico Mueller's streaking deep, but he's only that far open right now because of a pick.
You guys are set.
Here we go, let me!
UMass needing to go the full 70. We know they can do that with one throw. Zoodisc to Mueller.
See him communicating with Tanner Johnson, telling him to come under from about 40 yards deep, and he does.
Barron. Zoodisc. What do you think of the offense without really playing with a dump behind the disc?
Well,
over the top. Barron got it. Zoodisc drops the hammer. 11-10.
Having played that style of offense myself last summer with our club team, Johnny Bravo, I've come to like it. You know, ideally you're always gaining yards on a reset. You're never really losing yards. And we just can't say enough about the throwing prowess of Zoodisc so far this game.
Nice vision from Zoodisc. Looks like a timeout was called. UMass within one, about 10 minutes away from the soft cap.
And
the
again,
drama builds.
And again, Barron proving his value. 17 of the 21 points played. Pat Barron's been on the field, catching 3 goals as well. Maybe not the player who's going to grab the headlines of a Sadok or a Johnson or a Mueller, but his impact can't be overstated so far today.
And Sadok involved in 7 of UMass's 10 scores. Sadok all region each of the last 2 years. UMass at regionals taking down Brown in the finals. Of course, they also had to get by Harvard. John Stubbs, who's a Callahan finalist but didn't make it to nationals. We will see Jack Williams, a Callahan finalist, in the second semifinal in the men's division later tonight. UNCW and North Carolina, another chapter in that rivalry. There's so many connections between those two teams, from club, from pro, from high school.
The example of J.D. Hastings completing his undergraduate career and degree at Chapel Hill, and then heading over to Wilmington for his graduate degree and last year of USAU eligibility.
Here we go. UMass is going to need 2 breaks to win this thing. Yannick, and the throw is tipped. Grauman knocks it down. Mueller and Grauman combining for the D. UMass just 1 of 5 on break chances so far.
And this is a stacked D-line here for Massachusetts. They realize that time is running out to get those breaks.
Tossing it up. Johnson's got it! Mueller gave him a shot, and Johnson delivered. 11-all.
We saw Yannick wind up, but he was looking down. I don't know if he realized quite how close Nico Mueller was at the point of release. Or maybe he thought he could bend it around him, and Mueller just sending a prayer upwind. Definitely not the trajectory that he wanted. I'm sure he wanted that deeper in the end zone. 2 Carleton players there. I don't think Lanier ever had a play on it. Surprised to see Fisher not even get a finger on the disc there. Not to take away from the outstanding impact he's had for Carleton so far, but great work by Tanner Johnson, making his presence felt here in the second half.
Tanner Johnson made Boston Ironside when he was on his way to being a freshman at UMass. A Lexington native notched the score at 11. Sadok, Johnson, Barron, Mueller, Grauman, all still on the field for Zoodisc. Will Thornton, Chris Bartoli, the other defenders. Joe White on the under. Padilla. And a stoppage.
Coming in 3. Okay,
Pick
hold up. Make sure
downfield.
you're good. Hey, we're coming in on 3. When you're ready, defense.
You're inside, Will. Around.
Here we go. Joe White, the intended target. And Grauman comes up with a D. He had the position.
Big assignment there from Grauman. White's got a several-inch advantage.
White almost had the reach around. UMass was down 11-9 and now looking for the lead. Too far, intended for Zoodisc.
Tanner Johnson knows he overthrew that one. Not sure how many more times that defense is going to get the disc back. And a side stack here from the Carleton offense, trying to make a bunch of space for their receivers.
White takes the under. This is Taylor.
Barron's straight up mark. Stop that deep shot from Fisher from going up.
Now looking to Fisher. Olsen's throw floats just enough. Henry Fisher puts Carleton back in front, and he is in some pain.
Excellent upwind throw from Olsen.
I'm thinking about the comment you made earlier when Mueller laid it up into the wind for Zoodisc. Similar story here. He knew he would have that extra float.
And the ability to get that much distance with the wind in his face, equally impressive. Looked like his eye getting attended to.
I'm not familiar with that medical diagnosis. Hopefully he's all right. Critical cutter for Carleton. It's only mid-afternoon, but the crowd is already pretty rowdy here in Cincinnati. Just outside the Queen City here in Franklin. Bishop Fenwick High School. 3 years ago, Nationals were in Cincinnati. The semis and finals were held at Mason High School. This year, a natural grass surface here at Bishop Fenwick. That was when Jimmy Mickles' Colorado Mama Bird team won it all in the men's division, and Deanna Ball and Cassie Swafford and Paige Soper won for Ohio State in the women's 50-50. And it's UMass's Eddie Scott who rises above. Scott elevates and finds Zoodisc to tie it up again.
Not the way Tina Booth, Brett Grumman, or anyone else on Zoodisc drew it up. But you see Scott there at the back of the pile getting the best read, and who else is there to catch the goal but Ben Zoodisc. And see, a throw like that puts Olsen's previous huck in perspective.
Right.
It's so easy for someone hucking upwind to get big eyes and think they can put it right on a platter, but it's also easy to not have the appropriate strength and skill to keep it at a reasonable level for your receiver and hit them in stride, and it just makes Olsen's throw look that much more impressive.
Zoodisc's been involved in 2/3 of the UMass scores. 45 seconds until soft cap. Barring something crazy, this is going to be a game to 15. Eddie Scott with the unorthodox haircut. And That landed just out of bounds, which is big.
Our helpful volunteer stat keeper, Brian Jones, has been keeping track of several things here in the booth, and we were gonna share some stats about great pulls, and with the game on the line, that one lands out of bounds.
Very close. Are you saying it's not the broadcaster's jinx, but the statistician's jinx?
Of course.
We appreciate Brian being with us after coaching the UConn men's team this weekend to its second straight nationals. And the UConn women making it to nationals for the first time in school history. Soft cap will go on after this point. Lee Engel to Olsen to the end zone. Dylan Lanier makes it 13-12. No turns for the Carleton offense on that particular point.
Lanier's been able to find the soft spot in these zones throughout this game, and a couple of times in the end zone as well. Some great patience here from Lee Engel and Olsen. A nice little pump fake there. And Lanier unmarked at that front cone. Johnson, Grumman, Sadok, Barrow haven't gotten a point off in the last few points. Looking at their point totals so far, Johnson's played 19, Grumman 20, Sadok 16, Barron's played 20 as well. We see Nico Mueller on the line as well.
Here's Carleton's D-line with Yannick, Mobby, Bloodworth, Padilla. Sadok's not leaving the field from here on out, I bet. McMahon, Barron. Okay, great active freshman with Grumman and Mueller. Taylor the pull for Carleton. Joe White also out there on D for cut. And Mueller's gonna play this from the back line. He gets it about halfway through the end zone for Sadok. Sadok thought about it. He had Barron streaking deep.
I bet he throws that in a downwind situation.
The matchup was versus 6'3" Joe White.
What's your count coming in at? Say 5. Hold on a second, let's him set.
I think it was a good holster.
When you're ready.
Agreed.
He does get the reset to Mueller.
Let's go, Joe, work!
Yannick on the mark aggressively.
Joe!
Johnson.
Stay straight!
He's stranded.
Mueller keeps it alive. Now Johnson going deep. They switch White onto him. Gave Barron the open look under, but UMass didn't have an angle for the throw. Soft cap is on. It's a game to 15.
Before that,
The first men's semifinal.
it was like 2 counts ago. I'd either come in.
I don't think either on it.
Okay, we'll come in at 6. Everybody set?
Sadok. Takes the shot. It's gonna float. It's knocked down.
And you know, Sadok has had a few turnovers so far today. That might have been the first poor decision we've really seen him make.
Taylor had the D, takes the under. To White. Olsen's breaking long. Now he's coming back underneath. Reset to Yannick. Timeout Carleton.
And I think Zoodisc maybe just thought he could put it further to that far corner, but that's such a hard throw upwind.
Well, it is breezy conditions here in Ohio. You see the jerseys waving in the wind. Yesterday over in Mason, especially in the afternoon, the wind died down considerably. But today, picking back up, there is a chance for thunderstorms this afternoon to this evening. Of course, a year ago in Raleigh, North Carolina, we had some thunderstorms which impacted the schedule, but I also felt that it elevated the magnitude of the semifinal Sunday. Remember Pitt, Minnesota playing Universe Point on Monday morning after midnight?
And the atmosphere there, even earlier that evening, we had Carolina and Harvard facing off in front of the home Carolina crowd. And
that game was interrupted at around 6-6 or 7-5 in the first half, something like that.
Keep our eyes peeled for any lightning that may roll in here, but we hope it stays away.
How about North Carolina, the only team from last year returning to the semifinals? And this is Darkside's 4th straight trip to the semifinals. Lost in the championship game to Colorado, 2014. Won it the next year. Last year knocked off by John Stubbs' Harvard team.
Coming on, you guys are set.
Carleton looking to take a stranglehold on this game.
Nice shot off the sideline there from Joe White. You saw the around backhand taken away, and he was so comfortable just releasing that inside flick. Not something you see from every freshman in the country.
Is the key in your mind to getting that throw off the sideline through the mark, the low release point?
Right around here.
Depending on the wind conditions, yes. So given these conditions, it's got to be low.
Wraps the backhand around to Yannick. Olsen, marked by Zoodisc. Taylor. Olsen, open side. White's got it.
What a find and throw by Olsen. White didn't even have that much separation and wasn't necessarily showing to the open side that aggressively. You see him just kind of start to jog over there with his hand up, but he didn't make an aggressive cut, and Olsen's touch on that outside in flick just rode the wind perfectly. I'll tell you, this has been an absolute treat of throwers using the wind to their advantage. Olsen with some great upwind hucks, some great downwind shots from he and Zoodisc. Mueller with some touch upwind. A lot that young throwers can learn from these young stars in this game.
5 assists here in the second half for Carleton. For Olsen, I should say. And Carleton a point away from the finals. That was a break from the Carleton defense to go back up by 2. After UMass had tied at 11, we traded to 12s. Do or die time for the fellas from Amherst. Zoodisc. Radak. To Johnson. Up the sideline. Nice touch to McMahon. McMahon, ambitious. Overly so.
Foul call.
Foul call.
To you.
I don't think that's a foul, Evan.
Okay. My call. Not a foul. For the check.
The observers agree with you, Ian.
Once again, Greg Connolly, Mitch Dangler, and the whole crew just getting every call right this afternoon.
Now Carleton. Visions of the game winner, 70 yards away. Yannick says it's not that sunny, and that's not allowed. No contest, coming in at 1. Great job by Padilla. You know, Carleton may not have made the bracket, Ian, if not for a great comeback against Colorado in their final pool play game yesterday afternoon. They were down, I believe, 6-4 or 6-3. Stormed away with that one, and Yannick ripped it into the ground. Life for UMass. Radak was on the ground downfield. Halting play with a pick. Think about how well Carleton has played in clutch moments down against Colorado. They were down an early break against Michigan in their pre-quarter before they rolled. And they were down multiple breaks. 8-5 was the score at the half against Minnesota. And truly a championship caliber team Grey Duck is. Carleton got the better of him.
And you heard Nick Stewart talking about how that energy and positivity and buy-in in the Colorado game being one of the turning points for this Carleton team here at this tournament.
Over the top, beautiful. Sadok to Barron. UMass is not done just yet.
Nice vision by Sadok. You saw him keep his eyes on Barron that entire time as soon as he caught that disc. Surprised we haven't seen a few more of those scoobers in this game, but great vision, great execution. So tough as the marker to know exactly in a situation like that when you've got a creative thrower like Sadok with so many threatening release points to know exactly where to keep your hands. You just kind of got to be as active as possible.
Regardless of how this game turns out, Ben Sadok has been pretty incredible. Involved in 9 of the 13 scores for Zoodisc.
Game point number 2 here for Carleton. They're going to be going downwind. UMass has Sadok, Tanner Johnson, Barrow, Grauman, Mueller, Bartoli, and Thornton with their season on the line.
Mueller getting set to pull.
10 seconds.
Birdsong back out there for Carleton with Lanier, Olson, Fisher, Taylor, Rittmeyer, and Lee Engel.
Let's go, Brett! Yes, Will!
Little push off.
Yeah, and Sadok will call that every time, especially in a do-or-die situation.
Carleton about 30 yards away from a trip to the championship game. This could end it. To the end zone. Incomplete.
And we're going to have a foul call that I expect to be overturned here. He's claiming he had some pressure in the back. Hard to see anything.
Hey, with a check.
So they did overturn it. It is no foul. I think you could make a case Graham got him in the back as he was going up that interfered with his ability to catch the disc. But I think the fans are happy, and the disc could also be ruled uncatchable. So UMass, just imagine, they could go upwind here. They would have a downwind chance to win it. They did finish their game against Pittsburgh with 3 scores in a row. They're going to have to do that again. Johnson sneaks in. I think that was intended for Sadok.
Definitely was. Travel call on Mueller. But if they're going to get this right, Sadok should have a step of separation here.
Sadok. Back to Mueller.
Again, just shallow upline cuts, eating yardage here.
Barron played more than anybody in this game. Johnson to Mueller. A UMass break would create universe point.
When you're ready.
Largest lead of the game has been 2. It has been tight, wire to wire.
Again, Sadok just finding a way to get open at the front of the stack.
To Mueller. To the end zone. Thornton to Sadok. 14 all. Can't ask for much more than this.
Just when you think Ben Sadok and Nico Mueller are going to get stalled out in 2 different situations, they're able to find each other and weave the disc all the way through the red zone, down the field, and force double game point, do or die for both teams.
That's 2 of the captains connecting. UMass is taking a timeout. Russell Wallach, the co-coach of UMass, 3 weeks away from his wedding. Wonder if this weekend or that weekend will be more stressful. Barron has played 23 of the 28. Johnson and Graham, 22 of the 28. Sadok about to play his 20th point as UMass needs 1 more break to complete another thrilling comeback. And Carleton, they certainly have shown themselves to be a mentally strong team here in Ohio.
Persevering and coming back from multiple deficits against Colorado in pool play, against Minnesota in quarterfinals.
It's Olsen, Taylor, Padilla, with Lanier, White, Fisher, and Yannick. UMass has the same line at the last point. Mueller, Graham, Barron, Thornton, Bartoli, Sadok, and of course Johnson as well. Final point of the first men's semifinal. Carleton on offense. Good yards to White. To midfield for Taylor.
Great defense there by Tanner Johnson downfield on Lanier. And a great throw off the line there.
Barron bidding came up empty. This disc thrown into traffic. Taylor and Mueller the closest. It's tipped as the bowling pins all fall down.
Several fingers on the disc. Not sure if I'm seeing a foul there. As Soljanik slow to get up. We hope he's okay.
And Taylor, too, may have gotten the worst of it.
Excuse me, that's not Yannick.
Well, Yannick was slow to get up as well.
Yeah.
You were right.
Everybody's staying in, so let's go ahead and... Phil!
Let's go.
Everybody stay.
Doesn't appear that there was a call. This is going to be UMass's disc.
70 yards downwind to advance to the championship game.
UMass won it all in '86, 31 years ago. The #1 seed in the tournament for the second straight season. Last year, the dream ended in 3/4. Drummond looking for Sadok. That disc is not coming back in bounds, and Carleton's going to have decent field position here. The observers will decide exactly where Carleton will initiate play.
It's going to be just shy of midfield. Sadok didn't have a step of separation. White was deeper. Not sure about that choice.
Yannick on the under, White tumbling, makes the catch.
He's going to call a foul on Farrow.
Foul call.
Think about the track workouts, the late night throwing sessions, the team meetings, the film study. The entire season has led to this moment for Carleton and UMass.
Hey, do you want to go 17?
Yeah, should be fine. It was back on this one. Hey, we're in at 5. Let's wait. Let's make sure everybody's set. When you're ready. Coming in 5.
Olsen with the disc. Taylor. Yannick. White. Padilla. UMass bearing down near the goal line.
Great physicality there between Olsen and Sadok. They're embracing it.
Looking to the end zone.
And Sadok's going to call a push-off foul on Olsen, saying that he extended his forearms to get separation to release that backhand. And you hear the observer discussion.
Hey, okay. We got it. You called foul for him pushing off. That's what I saw too. What was the count? Okay, hey, we're coming in at 5. White disc right here. Okay?
He pushed the disc
Foul called by
slightly
the
into his
defense.
chest.
It is a foul. We're coming in at 5. When you're ready.
Carleton's been very good in the red zone today, and another call.
A push-off. Bartoli is calling a forearm push-off on White. They're jockeying for position at the front of the stack.
It is a foul. Mitch Dengler, the observer near the pylon, sent it back. Drama builds.
And it
didn't look like much.
That's slight. Not many times you see 2 offensive fouls on double game point.
Yannick's not in. Joe White is, and now it's over. Carleton on Universe takes it. Tiny Carleton College has eliminated the defending champs and the #1 seed in back-to-back games.
And Massachusetts had a chance to march the disc down the field, but Brett Grauman's huck, not necessarily the best decision, giving Carleton better field position.
How about the patience from Carleton near the goal line?
And to be sure, you know, that's the advantage that you have when you recruit and bring in experienced, high-quality players, and you don't have to coach them up. They've got the composure and the experience to stay calm and stay poised in those high-pressure situations.
We saw Tanner Johnson down on the field. He was a national champ in the club division last fall, but his college team in his sophomore year falls short. Ben Sadok, fantastic all-around performance, but it was 1 goal shy for Zoodisc. It's Carleton 15, UMass 14. As good as it gets. The USA Ultimate College Championships are brought to you in part by Discraft Ultrastar. Find the official disc of USA Ultimate at more than 1,900 U.S. retail locations. And by 5 Ultimate, apparel made specifically for Ultimate players by Ultimate players. Visit 5ultimate.com for everything from jerseys and shorts to custom team uniforms. Dramatic fashion, Carleton takes it on Universe over UMass 15-14. Carleton will get the winner of UNC Wilmington and UNC. Not sure too many people were predicting that one. Phil Bowen, the head coach of Carleton, joins us. Coach, you've had a bunch of great memorable moments at Nationals. What was it like being on the sideline down the stretch of this one?
Well, this was a great battle for sure. To have the semifinal go to the Universe was great. I've been wanting to get another chance at UMass all season since they beat us at Easterns earlier, and I think this game kind of speaks for itself. It was a blast to watch my team perform so well.
Phil, you've taken a number of classes to the semis, the finals, and beyond. What's unique about this class and this group of Carleton players?
Right. We're an incredibly young team. There's 9 freshmen on the team. And you'd think that would mean, that inexperience wouldn't, or that inexperience would be a liability for us. But those guys are amazing, and I think our youth has really shown how amazing they are, and just kind of helping to carry this team on their shoulders. Yeah, it's a joy to watch.
Have the guys like you talk about that youth, Dylan Lanier, Joe White, were those guys that, as soon as they came into the program, you knew they were going to be experienced starters for you guys?
Definitely. I mean, obviously, we've been working on developing them all year and getting them into our system. It's difficult because we have so many #1 players from each of their high school teams, and so they're all good at what they do, and they might be coming from different systems. So we have to sort of integrate them all. But it speaks to the quality of their experience that they can assimilate as one team so quickly.
Phil, you got 24 hours and 52 minutes before the opening pull of the championship game. You've played Carolina a couple times and lost to them. I don't believe you've played Wilmington this year. Your thoughts on preparing for those 2 opponents?
We do our best when we just think about ourselves, honestly. Talking to the guys today, I told them that our toughest opponent is ourselves, and all we want to do, our definition of success, is just winning the energy battle. When we focus on ourselves and when our energy is at top level, no one can stop us.
Well, Phil, drink some tea, rest up that voice. I know you'll want to yell tomorrow. Congrats on the win today. Great
Thanks,
job.
Buddy. Hi, Odin. Hi, Sari.
Phil Bowen in his 8th year coaching Carleton College. Our Discraft play of the game, the final point. Each team turned it over once, and then Carleton was patient around the end zone. Ian finished the game 10 for 10 in their red zone offense.
A game like this decided by 1 goal, that's the margin. Incredible patience in the end zone, in the red zone sets by this Carleton team, despite the fact that so many players on the field were never in a college semifinal setting before. Lots to look forward to in Carleton's future.
Alex Olson had 5 assists in the second half, and he joins us now. Congratulations, Alex.
Thank you very much.
You were a freshman a couple years ago, if I remember correctly, when this team went to the semis. But what was this experience like in such a leadership role?
This experience has been incredible. I just want to say that I love this team, every one of them. I could not be happier with any other group of guys. I don't know, coming in with more leadership on this team definitely had more pressure. But, you know, try to stay composed, just breathe and, you know, fall back on the level of our practices and on our depth. And, yeah, just have fun, try to enjoy it.
There's no secret that this was a windy, gusty game.
Oh, sure.
Talk to us about your pregame preparation and how you prepare to face the wind in all of the directions that you had to throw in today.
We did a lot of throwing sets before warming up and after warming up. We practiced throwing deep to our teammates and definitely noticed that the discs really carry downwind. So we had to be careful against that, but really just getting those pregame reps made those throws possible in the conditions and made the wind not really a factor for us.
So you woke up this morning to play the defending champs, and you came back and beat them, and then you played the #1 seed. Did you imagine that this Sunday would turn out like this for you? Is this what you expected?
Honestly, I did not know what to expect. I just wanted to come in, have fun, work as hard as I can, and I don't know. I'm really happy with the outcome and love everything that's brought us here, and I'm excited for tomorrow.
Another memorable moment for Carleton's historic program. Alex, congrats on the win. Get some rest. You got a big day tomorrow.
I shall.
Alex Olson, 6 assists in the game, 5 of them in the second half, 15-14 the final.
Carleton unfazed by the wind, in the words of Alex Olson. We'll be interested to see what kind of conditions Wilmington and Carolina will face tonight at 8.
Coming up at 5:30, Colorado and Texas, the second women's semifinal. Winner gets Dartmouth. 8 o'clock, UNCW and North Carolina with a victor facing Carleton on Championship Monday. For now, for Ian Toner, this is Evan Lepler saying so long from Bishop Fenwick High School in Franklin, Ohio, where Carleton wins it by the slimmest of margins. All games airing on the ESPN networks or streaming live on the ESPN app, or you can watch the entire game on replay, as well as other games on our family of networks. Log on to watchespn.com or download the Watch ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.